My name is Simon Bob. I'm 22 years old. My hands shake as I tell you this because what happened sounds crazy. But it's true. On July 30th, 2025, I died for 18 minutes. My heart stopped. My brain went quiet. But in that darkness I saw things that changed everything. I lived a normal life before this. I grew up in Phoenix, Arizona, where it's hot all year. I was studying engineering at Arizona State University. This was my dream since I was little. I worked hard for good grades and a secure future. I wasn't into church stuff. I believed in God but not deeply. I cared about school grades and getting a good job. I liked facts and science. I didn't believe in things I couldn't prove. That July morning started normal. It was already hot at 7 a.m. My old car's air conditioning barely worked. But I felt good because I passed a hard test. My boss said I might get a job after school. I ate an energy bar, drank coffee, and listened to an engineering podcast. I don't remember the crash. I was driving on Interstate 10. Traffic was light. I felt calm. Then nothing. A truck driver fell asleep and hit my lane. He crushed my small car. The paramedics said getting me out was a miracle. I don't remember the rescue or sirens or pain. I just remember everything stopping. My heartbeat, my breathing, everything went quiet. In the ambulance my heart stopped twice. But I wasn't there anymore. I wasn't Simon the worried student. In that empty space I started seeing something science can't explain. My first thought was strange. Is this really it? Am I ready to die? This question echoed while everything seemed frozen. There was no normal fear. Like all my beliefs about life had melted away in 1 second. Time didn't exist there. There was only quiet emptiness, and me floating in a place unlike anything on earth. At first I thought it was a dream. But everything felt too real, too intense to be make-believe. In front of me wasn't darkness. There was light everywhere, but not from any sun or lamp. It wrapped around me like a warm blanket. It went inside me like new breath. This light seemed to pulse like it was alive, like it had a heartbeat. I reached out to touch this atmosphere. I realized it wasn't just light. It was presence. A presence that spoke without words, that showed love without gestures, that filled empty spaces in me I didn't know I had. Then someone came closer. Not with footsteps, but with a flow that was gentle and powerful. I sensed someone behind me. Then I saw him, a man but not just any man. He didn't look like church paintings. But when our eyes met, I knew. It was Jesus. His eyes struck me first. Deep beyond any ocean. They held wisdom and sweetness, but most of all, love that pierced me like light. Love I had never known. When he spoke, I didn't hear it with my ears. The sound vibrated inside me, in my heart, in my bones. He said my name, Simon, and it was like the most beautiful song. In that moment, I understood I was never just a number. I was never forgotten. God knew my name. He told me I was brought there for a reason. There are things you must see, things you must tell because time is short and people don't understand. His words carried strength and urgency, but also tenderness. I wanted to ask why me, why now, why after 22 years of doubts. But I understood this wasn't time to ask. It was time to listen. When he touched my shoulder, not physical but more real than skin, all my fears melted away. I was no longer alone. I never had been. He looked at me without masks or conditions. Me with all my mistakes was loved. Truly loved. Then his expression became serious. The world is entering its last season of grace, he told me. September 2025 is a threshold, the last call before everything changes. You will see what must be shown and you must say it because time doesn't wait. Those words hit me like a rushing river. I felt responsibility but also certainty that nothing would ever be the same. Everything around us opened like a curtain, showing what had always been hidden. I got new eyes that could see inside, beyond, through everything. We were above a city. Streets, buildings, cars, people hurrying to daily tasks. It looked normal. But I wasn't just seeing the outside. I was seeing what was behind and within. Walls and windows were see-through. I could watch people as if every barrier dissolved. Even more shocking, I could look into their hearts. Every person had an inner flame. Some glowed dimly like almost dead coals. Others were covered by gray smoke. Very few burned brightly. Next to these people, I saw other beings. Some carried peaceful light. Others were dark, twisted, disturbing. They moved like slimy shadows creeping into homes, into thoughts, into people's daily actions. I was watching a battle, a silent war fought with influences, lies, truth, and inner choices. Jesus spoke inside me. Look, Simon, this happens every day. While people think life is only work, money, and pleasure, reality is deeper. Souls are being fought over moment by moment. Then I saw specific scenes. In an office, a man bent over his computer, face tight with tiredness. A dark shadow whispered, "You'll never make it. You're worthless." While he thought these were his own thoughts, I saw him accept that poison, letting his inner fire dim. But next to him, a bright being tried to speak. "Hold on. You're not alone. There's still hope." It only took attention to hear it. But the man didn't listen. Everywhere I looked, the scene repeated. Young people chasing success while demons fed on their pride. Families divided by fights started by words whispered by darkness. But I also saw the opposite. Elderly people praying, and their prayer was like bright protection for loved ones. Children whose innocence pushed away armies of shadows. Simple people doing acts of love that put evil spirits to flight. My heart broke with every scene. Jesus let me observe, but his gaze was filled with endless sadness. Many live as if this world is all that matters. They run toward goals that will disappear, chasing illusions that will dissolve like dust, while they ignore the eternal treasures I prepare for them. I realized I was that too. Me with my studies, career dreams, days spent on numbers and projects. I had been blind. I never considered that while I was running, a battle for my soul was being fought around me. Then Jesus showed me something more shocking. The sky changed, looking like a huge map with a message shining in the center. September 2025. From that message, waves of light and darkness spread like storms, affecting every heart, family, nation. "This is a turning point month," he said. "A threshold. The choices people make now will decide not only their individual future, but the entire course of humanity." I felt small, unable to bear such a vision. But Jesus wasn't showing me this to crush me. He was trusting it to me so I would understand the urgency, so I would be a witness. I understood this invisible battle was real. It was happening now. And September 2025 was the decisive testing ground. While the world continued running unaware, I was watching the greatest war ever fought, a silent war that will decide the fate of billions of souls. When I opened my eyes, I was back in my body. The hospital room sounds hit me like waves. I had returned. Tears streamed down my face from the certainty that I had seen truth. I can't explain how it happened. One moment I was in that breathing light with Jesus, and the next I felt my body's weight pour onto the hospital bed. Heavy, tired, fragile. My first breath was like swallowing fire and water together. I coughed, gasping for air. As the room took shape, one awareness grabbed me. I hadn't returned by chance. I had been sent back. I had been chosen for a task. Jesus had touched me, and that touch remained like an invisible brand. It wasn't just memory. It was force that burned inside, keeping me awake even when my body collapsed from exhaustion. In the first hours after waking, I couldn't speak. My voice was broken, but in my mind the images flowed like a rushing river. Every scene was alive. Not like a dream that dissolves, but like imminent reality pressing at the gates. I realized those visions weren't just symbols. They were concrete possibilities, paths already laid out. Humanity was at a crossroads. And September wouldn't just be any month, but a sign sculpted in sky, an appointment set in history. So I began to bear witness, not with fancy speeches, but simply by telling what happened to me. The first times I felt like I was stammering, without the right language to describe the indescribable. Yet those who listened remained silent, struck not by my sentences, but by truth that seeped through them. Some cried, others got angry. Still others looked at me with suspicion, like looking at someone who lost his mind. But I knew it wasn't madness. It was a mandate. I know my testimony won't change the entire world. But if even one soul prepares, if even one heart converts, then my return will have had meaning. Jesus showed me that the future isn't blind destiny, but ground prepared today with daily choices, with love or with indifference. Today I live with only one certainty. I no longer belong to myself. My life was returned for a short, precious time that must be spent as an offering. I don't know when the Lord will call me again. But until then I will speak. I will speak of the fire I saw, of the mercy I felt, of the coming deadline, of the revival that can still save us.